What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. Now, I want to get straight into this. Lomachenko, I would say don't do it, but you already did it. And pretty much what I would say is it would make sense to just take your loss. Go back to the drawing board. Come back in another fight. Lomachenko's trainer, he made the comment, manager, whoever, he made the comment that Lomachenko had an injury that was re-aggravated in the second round of that fight. Now, there's a lot of people who don't like Lomachenko because you have so many boxing personalities that rate him so high, and they always, want to tag the greatest on people, and this person was better than this person. They start all these comparisons before these guys even have you got some guys got more knockouts than certain people have fights, and they're saying that this guy was better than this guy. It's all preference, it's all opinion. A lot of it is hatred. A lot of it is just let's boost this guy up over this guy. Let's try to get the attention off of this guy to get it to this guy. And I'm not gonna blame Lomachenko for I'm not gonna blame any fighter for the things that other people say, okay? But at the end of that fight, Lomachenko basically said, I won the fight. He talked about how, he started slow, but he came on strong in the middle rounds, and he didn't really come on strong until start coming on to the 8th round. But he didn't mention anything about his shoulder. Okay, if you worried about getting booed out the building, well, it was an empty arena. I mean, who's going to boo you out the building? If you're worried about getting booed, period, then you wouldn't have ever mentioned anything about your shoulder. And when I say getting booed, I don't mean just the point of somebody literally saying boo. I'm talking about somebody taking credibility away from you and saying you making excuses. Then you would never say anything. You wouldn't allow your trainer to say anything. Okay, nobody. You know what? Take the AJ route. You lost. Because now it's like when a heavy favorite, when somebody's favorite to win and they lose, now the new thing is, I was hurt. Or even if it's a 50-50 fight, but one guy is more popular than the other guy. One guy, basically when somebody's the favorite, regardless of the odds, okay? But somebody who people want to win. Well, look, I saw a lot of shit where people was, Lomachenko, he deserves a rematch. Now I'm gonna tell you why I don't think he deserves a rematch. Okay? First off, they did it to themselves. First off, the fight wasn't nearly even close enough to, a rematch for what? For what? If their paths cross again somewhere down the line, okay, so be it. But a rematch for what? He got beat soundly, clearly. Okay, the other side to that is, were they that arrogant and cocky? What happened? I mean, because clearly Lomachenko was the A side. So why was there no rematch clause? And this is why they're crying so much about it, because there is no rematch clause. They were so confident that they were going to beat Lopez that they didn't even put a rematch stipulation in the contract. There was no rematch clause put in there. So all of a sudden now Lopez is supposed to just say, well, you know what? The guy wants a rematch. Let me give him the rematch because he wants it. So basically, they just felt like this was a one and done. I'm going to beat this kid, move on. He'll beat you like anybody else. It sounds good, but I'm going to win. And then he didn't win. So to say he deserves a rematch, no, he doesn't deserve a rematch. Now, if Lopez is gracious and say, we can do it again. We heard Lopez say, a rematch for what? And I'm saying to myself, yeah, I mean, rematches are when a fight's close. It's there was nothing about this fight that I want to see that I want to see it a second time. So they come with the injury, and you know it's funny when people say they was injured, then they have a rematch and they get beat the same or worse. Then what's the excuse? I mean, look, Lomachenko is a good fighter. Take all the overhype, because there's people who overhype him. Okay, when I say overhype, I'm talking all this greatest of all time status, and I don't even believe in greatest of all time. Okay, but all this greatest of all time status, they tag. I mean, you got people like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Canelo Alvarez. You got people that has more fights than this guy. AJ has, you know, in his 20s, whatever, 20 something fights. But what I'm saying is they have guys who have more fights, more wins, or just as many. And when these guys' names come up, you know what people say? When their careers are over, then we can say, you know, how great this person is. Lomachenko is a guy that they're saying this stuff about him now. And look at how many fights he has. So at the end of the day, yeah, people do overhype him. I mean, I remember them saying he was better than Floyd like 3-4 years ago, and I'm like, you know, it's not a personal thing for me. It's just I see the favoritism. So is it not? People don't understand. Like, is it not just a coincidence or something that these franchise champions are just basically given a title name, but they're not having any fights that's elevating boxing, right? And look at, it's nothing but favoritism. How do you choose a franchise champion? I heard Mauricio Sulaiman's explanation, right? But if you look at it, then it's like, okay, well, how? And that's how do you just determine who you want as a franchise champion? And that's another reason. It's not just for guys that can go up and down, that's at a certain weight where they can feel comfortable, from cruiserweight to heavyweight or something like that. Somebody in the heavyweights, believe me, is going to be a franchise champion. Somebody that doesn't have a problem with going up and down in weight. And if you notice that 224 mark, right? There's a lot of fighters that fight at that mark or somewhere, you know, between 220, 215 to 220. So there's going to be people that can go up and down. So a franchise champion as a heavyweight, I can't see them giving that to a guy like whoever has the WBC. I don't see them just giving it to just anybody. I can see a certain contender, somebody who can make the weight and can fight at those different weights and go up and down like Canelo is doing. You know, Lomachenko can do the same things if he chooses to go up in weight. I don't know how far he can go down. Everybody, just because they make you the franchise champion, don't mean that you can make those, you know, different weight classes. But it gives you immunity to choose to fight who you want at whatever weight class. And the simple fact is, when you look at that situation where they just make you, okay, I want you as a franchise champion because of your dedication and hard work to the sport. Come on, man, there's been people in the game a lot longer than Lomachenko. You understand what I'm saying? And this is not to take anything away from what he's done so far and all, but what I'm saying is now for him to start making excuses. He's still the franchise champion. Lopez is not the franchise champion. You can't lose a franchise champion, okay? You can't defend a franchise champion. So my point is, other than favoritism, how in the hell do you even describe a franchise, the significance of a franchise champion, without it being something that you as the franchise champion can you get some benefits from it? But like what? Right? So now you look at it and he's still a franchise champion. If you want to honor that, I mean, I really could care less about a franchise champion personally. But look, Lomachenko, don't do it, man. Just let it in. Let all of the whole, my shoulder, don't, man. You know, you lost the fight, and even though you lost the fight, you're always going to have biased fans that want to make excuses as to why the person lost the fight. don't put yourself in a position where people start making you make a clown out of yourself and people start to ridicule you. Because to start all of this, all of a sudden now my shoulder, didn't mention anything about his shoulder at the end of the fight. In an empty arena, that's the best time. If something was really wrong with your shoulder, that's what you would have said. Hey, I injured my shoulder before the fight and it got re-aggravated in the second round. So to say that, for his trainer to say that, that means that's what Lomachenko told him in the corner, right? Okay. But did Lomachenko say that after the fight? No. He just was looking disappointed, like he felt like he won the fight. So now all of a sudden you see a picture of him laying up in the hospital with his shoulder all bagged up and everything. It's like, come on, look, you lost the fight. Just go forward with it, man. I'm pretty sure there's guys that won fights and had injuries, and guess what? We never got to hear about them. So when you lose, have that same energy to say, you know what? It happens. Shit happens. I'll get him next time. No, we got to go to my shoulder was I injured my shoulder. And that's what I said when they made this video, okay? Boxing Ego and a couple other channels started making videos about, talking about how they're babying Lomachenko. And like I said, my thing is it's not about favoritism with nobody from me. And what I said was, they said his loss was embarrassing. And I said, no, how was the loss? How was it an embarrassing loss? He lost, and it was a good fight. He put up a good effort, but he just wasn't good enough. What I said was the embarrassing thing is I won that fight. No, not even close to winning that fight. And for all these people that say, oh, that fight was a lot closer than the scorecard said, I don't know what fight they was watching. Now, like I said, there was certain rounds like 8, 9, and 12. I don't know how the judges scored that, but I clearly scored the 11th round. I felt like definitely that Lopez won that, but 1 through 7 was clear wins for Lopez. Clear. There's no way in hell you can tell me you watched that fight and thought that Lomachenko won the first 7 rounds, any of those first 7 rounds. But you never know how judges are scoring fights. Okay, but regardless, it was a unanimous decision. Lopez earned his win. Look, Lomachenko's supposed to be a consummate professional, right? So don't start with the excuses. Whether it's coming from his trainer, from him, don't start with the excuses. What? Let it go. Let it go. We'll come back again. Because if it was just your shoulder, right, and you the same fighter you always been, that means you can come back against anybody and look the way you always did. And you know what people gonna start saying? Hey, check this out. We need to have Loma versus Lopez again. But at the same time, you didn't give Gary Russell a fucking rematch. Think about it. Beat Gary Russell. Gary Russell was looking good after that. In other fights, he was looking good before that. That fight, Gary got beat. And same thing. Don't make excuses, man. People kill me when they get to the biggest fights of their career. And they supposed to be all geared up for it. And then they get their ass kicked and all of a sudden, excuses. No, look, you just lost the fight. That's all. That's all. That's all. You lost the fight. Just pick yourself up. Dust yourself off. You know what? I'll come back. So even if it was, let's just say, let's give the benefit of the doubt and say he really had a legitimate shoulder injury. At the same time, man, you need to understand, you wouldn't have mentioned your shoulder if you would have won the fight. We know that that's the case. So why even show pictures laying up in the hospital? And I mean, come on, man, like that just looks so like pathetic and desperate, like that. I really want to convince these people that I didn't lose. I was injured. Okay. They need to let that one go. But, like I said, fans and people that's, team members, some people that they're not happy. They can't leave well enough alone. But don't start to taint your own, don't put yourself in a situation where people start to get tired of you and say, you know what, man, I used to like this guy as a fighter, but now this guy's making excuses and he you lost, bro. Plain and simple. Lopez did what you said he couldn't do. You had a lot of, energy before the fight. You guys getting all up in each other's faces and y'all were already pumped up. You had this injury and all that, right? You didn't keep it humble. Now he's humble, quiet. He's like a quiet guy. People see him as humble. But no, you had a lot of confidence, which you should, right? Okay, but at the same time, now that you got beat, just walk away from that and say, you know what? This guy don't want to, even if you want to push, even if you want to try to push for a rematch, and let's say he shuts it down. Okay, well, you just got to move on and fight somebody else. But to start making excuses, oh, my shoulder, I hurt my shoulder and I re-injured it in the second round. Look, man, you didn't say any of that after the fight. Like I said, you basically just stood there. He pretty much expressed it like he felt like he was disappointed because he felt like he won the fight and they robbed him, which basically is BS to me too. Because I mean, bro, like, you got beat. Okay, there was no robbery. You got beat. You got beat. And even if the fight, the same way the fight went, if they would have gave you the decision, we wouldn't hear nothing about no shoulder injury. We wouldn't have saw any pictures of you laying up in the hospital. So, look, man, just get up. Like I said, move on from that, and just come back and do it again. Whether it's against Lopez or another opponent, you know, just stop with the excuses. It doesn't look good, and it's not necessary, and it's not going to take away what happened. You know, even if you avenge a loss, it still doesn't take away the fact that you got beat, right? You just won the second fight, if there's a second fight. But again, you didn't give Gary Russell a rematch. So how about this? How about this? And this will put both. This will give both of them opportunity. How about we do Gary Russell, right? Because Gary Russell don't have a fight either, right? And Loma just had one, right? Gary don't have a fight coming up that we know about. So how about you get better, get that shoulder right, you come back, give Gary Russell his rematch. How about your fight? Then the winner of that, well, we see what happens. Do you go up and fight? And listen, Gary Russell was talking a lot about he'll move up and fight, right? And wait, okay, so how about that? Gary Russell, right? Since he's not going to fight Devin Haney, how about Gary Russell come up and fight you? Y'all agree to meet, and then let's see what happens from there. Not that Gary Russell is going to get that shot against Lopez either, because, you know, I don't think Gary Russell want to come up in any weight class higher just to stay there. I think it's just for certain fights, if he actually really want to do that. Look, guys got to learn to stop making up excuses when they lose. Because like I said, when you win, we don't hear anything about your injuries. You know, unless it's something that we see in the ring and something that you couldn't hide. Or, you know, sometimes people got to break their hand in the ring. And fortunately, it happens like in later rounds and they're able to, you know, weather the storm and still get the win. Or something like that. But look, it's not a good look, man. Just let it go. What happened, happened. Move on to the next one. Anyway, never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people. And that's all I'm going to say in this video. I will catch y'all on the next one.